Hi everyone, I'm Sai Hipolito, a third year BSBA FM student from class 3.2. And for today, I will be discussing my assigned topic together with the problems and solutions I was able to solve. Without further ado, let us start. First things first, let me present to you the first main problem. So Mrs. Criselda Hipolito established her own service company. She invested $3 million to open the business and has purchased some computer equipment worth $150,000 and office furniture worth $80,000. During the year 2024, $400,000 were earned, $100,000 of which were on account. Salaries paid to employees amounted to $160,000. Office rent payment is $50,000 and utilities paid amounted to $30,000. Receivables collected amounted to $70,000. The owner withdrew $120,000 for personal emergency. At the time when the carrying value of the furniture was $75,000, it was sold for $80,000 cash. To be able to complete and solve the main problem, we have here 5 more underlying questions to be solved. For our first problem, we are asked to prepare the summary of cash accounts to know the total amount of cash balance at the end of the accounting period. On the next slide, we have your first step-by-step solution. Before anything else, first things first is to prepare the T accounts of each cash. So I have here presented the finished and prepared T accounts. So to explain this to you, let us go back to our main problem. As we can see, Mrs. Hipolito invested $3 million to open her business. For the T accounts, let us put $3 million on the debit side of cash and $3 million on the credit side of capital. She also purchased some computer equipment worth $150,000. The T accounts for this would be equipment $150,000 debit side and cash $150,000 credit side. For office furnitures, that is worth $80,000. T accounts for this would be furniture $80,000 and cash credit side $80,000. During the year 2024, $400,000 were earned, $100,000 of which were on account. So for the $300,000, it would be on cash, $300,000 debit side, and service revenue would be $300,000 credit side. For the remaining accounts receivable, the T accounts for this would be accounts receivable debit side $100,000, service revenue credit side $100,000. There are also salaries paid to employees amounted to $160,000. T accounts for this would be salaries expense, debit side $160,000 and cash $160,000 on the credit side. For the office rent payment, it is amounted to $50,000. T accounts for this would be rent expense, debit side $50,000 and cash credit side $50,000. For the utilities paid amounted to $30,000. T accounts for this would be utilities expense, debit side $30,000 and credit side cash $30,000. For receivables collected amounted to $70,000, our T accounts for this would be $70,000 cash on the debit side and $70,000 credit side accounts receivable. The owner also withdrew $120,000 for personal emergencies. Our T accounts for this would be drawing credit debit side The owner withdrew $120,000 for personal emergency. The T accounts for this would be drawing debit side $120,000 and cash on the credit side $120,000. And for the last T accounts, at the time when the carrying value of the furniture was $75,000, it was sold for $80,000 cash. Our T accounts for this would be cash $80,000 since it is the value where it was sold, and credit office furniture $80,000. After preparing the T accounts, we will be distinguishing what are the inflows and outflows to these accounts. Then put them to their corresponding sides, may it be on debit or side or credit side. After identifying which is which, get the total amount of both debit and credit side, then subtract these amounts to each other, and we will be getting the cash balance for the accounting period 2024. For the summary of cash accounts, we have here on the debit side, invested by the owner, $3 million, cash received from customers, $300,000, collection of receivables, $70,000, Sale of office furniture, 80,000. For a total debit, it would be 3,450,000. On the credit side, we have your purchase of equipment, 150,000. Purchase of furniture, 90,000. Salaries expense, 160,000. Rent expense, 50,000. Utilities expense, 30,000. Withdrawal of the owner, 120,000. For a total amount of 600,000. Then we subtract the amount of credits to the debits, and we have a total cash balance for the accounting period 2024, which is 2,850,000. For our second problem, from the given summary of cash accounts, identify what are the operating activities and its total net cash amount. Show your answer together with the solution. So for our step-by-step solution, our first step is to identify what are the operating activities. After identifying, we have here presented the operating activities. First, the cash received from service revenue, which is 300,000. Payment of salaries, which is negative 160,000 since it's on the credit side, or it's an outflow. Payment of rent, also negative 50,000. Payment of utilities, also negative 300,000. And for our last operating activity, which is receivables collected, amounts to 70,000 pesos. Add and subtract all these accounts to get the total amount of net cash from operating activities. 300,000 minus 160,000 minus 50,000 minus 30,000 plus 70,000 for a total of 130,000. And that would be the total or net cash for our operating activities. For our third problem, we are asked to identify the cash accounts for investing activities and its total net cash amount. We will be doing the same. So our first step-by-step solution would be identifying what are the investing activities from the given accounts. So the following investing activities are the purchase of equipment. It is negative 150,000. Second would be the purchase of office equipment, which is negative 90,000. And the proceeds from sale of furniture, which is 80,000. So add and subtract all these accounts, and we will be getting the net cash from investing activities, which is a total of negative 160,000. For our fourth problem, we are asked to identify the financing activities from the summary of cash accounts and to get its total amount. For our first step-by-step solution, we are also asked to identify the financing activities from the given accounts. We have here the investment of the owner, 3 million pesos, and the withdrawal by the owner, which is amounting to 120,000. Add and subtract these two, and we will be getting the total amount of 2,880,000 pesos. For our final problem, we are asked to prepare the company's statement of cash flows to know the total cash end for the accounting period. So our first step would be, after acquiring and computing for the operating, financing, and investing activities, we have to put them all together, starting by writing the name of the entity on the top left corner of the paper. Second would be writing statement of cash flows. We will also be writing the year of the accounting period. Second step would be, after listing down all the activities, add the operating and financing activities, then subtract the investing activities to get the total net cash flow. So the operating activities are 130,000 plus the total amount of financing activities, which is 2,880,000, subtracted by the amount of investing activities, which is amounting to 160,000, with a total of 2,850,000 pesos. And since there is no cash amount indicated at the beginning of the year, we will not add anything and let 2,850,000 be our final answer. Please take time to read and check the final statement of cash flows for verification. Thank you for listening and hope you have a good day.